www.wedr.org. WADR, promoting dialogue.
Good evening and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and online at wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Here are the top stories. Malian army claims to have foiled an infiltration in Timbuktu. Beninese cyber activist Steve Amosu sentenced to 2 years in prison. Coalition of African Universities unite to empower agricultural innovators against food insecurity.
The number of rice breeders, they are very few. So this project will help to promote that level of producing rice breeders that will help to sustainably improve rice productivity.
And special prosecutor uncovers widespread corruption in Ghana Education Service.
The theories are not bearing out what we are encountering on the ground. The theories do not match the practice. Corrupt actors are becoming very ingenious.
Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Imo Edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our bulletin and a warm welcome to all of our listeners across the sub-region and beyond. Let's begin in the Sahel, specifically Niger, where the transitional president, General Abdurrahman Chani, has alleged that Iyad Ag-Ghali, the leader of the Al-Qaeda-linked group Jamaat Nasr al-Islam, JNIM, is effectively a proxy of France in the Sahel region. Chani's remarks made during a national address suggest that Ag-Ghali's operations align with French interests, particularly in the context of counter-terrorism efforts. Nadia Tete has more details in this report.
A.G. Ghali, a Tuareg militant from Mali, has been a central figure in the region's jihadist activities. He founded the Islamist group Ansar Deen in 2012 and later led JNIM, which has been responsible for numerous attacks across Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger. Recall that the International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant for A.G. Ghali, accusing him of war crimes and crimes against humanity committed in Timbuktu between 2012 and 2013. Tiani's accusation underscores the complex dynamics of international involvement in the Sahel. Still in the speech, Tiani noted that Niger's border with Benin will remain closed, accusing his neighbor of hosting bases where, according to him, jihadists are training, something Cotonou has always denied. However, in a swift reaction, the head of Benin's diplomacy, Olusegun Ajadi Bakari, has rejected the accusation. He noted that in 2024, despite the closure of the border with Niger, Benin recorded growth of 7.5%, well beyond forecasts, and it will try to continue to strengthen this resilience. Niger closed its border with Benin following the July 26, 2023 coup in Niamey, which overthrew elected President Mohamed Bazoum. Relations between the two countries have become strained since the coup.
Nadidite filed that report. Meanwhile, in Mali, several army positions were attacked by armed groups over the weekend. The most violent attack targeted the camp in the town of Bulkesi in the center of the country. The Islam and Muslim support group JNIM, linked Al-Qaeda, was behind this attack. Abdullah Hassan report.
In a statement, the Malian army stated that it had vigorously responded to this attack on the Bulkesi camp in the Douentza region in the center of the country before withdrawing. Air patrols destroyed columns of vehicles and neutralized several terrorists gathered in safe havens, the statement stated. The army also revealed that the area is under heavy surveillance and such operations are continuing. Although no casualties have been released, the army confirmed that it had lost men during the clash. This attack was claimed by JNIM, a group supporting Islam and Muslims, which claims to have taken control of the barracks in the town of Bulikesi. Videos widely circulated on social media show the scale of the assault carried out by JNIM fighters. This comes as attacks have increased in recent weeks in several towns in the center of the country. The most recent targeted the camp in the town of Jora in the Mopti region. The army has not commented on this attack.
Abdullah Hassan with that report. In the meantime, in Mauritania, a demonstration was held on Monday in front of the National Assembly in the capital Nouakchott to denounce the murder and rape of a young pregnant woman. Recall how Traore's lifeless body was found on May 29. Augustin Coley has more details in his report.
Hundreds of citizens besieged the National Assembly to denounce the recent rape and murder of a young pregnant woman. This tragic incident has sparked widespread outrage and calls for justice, highlighting ongoing concerns about gender-based violence in the country. While specific details about this particular case are still emerging, it resonates with past incidents that have ignited public protests. For instance, in December 2024, the gang rape of a university student in Wadr led to mass demonstrations demanding stringent penalties for perpetrators and comprehensive legal reforms to combat sexual violence. Mauritania's legal framework has been criticized for its inadequate protection of sexual assault survivors. The absence of a clear legal definition of rape and the criminalization of consensual sex relations outside marriage often deter victims from reporting assaults, fearing prosecuting themselves. Advocacy groups such as the Association of Women Heads of Family continue to push for legislative reforms and better support systems for survivors. Their efforts aim to ensure that victims receive the necessary medical, psychological, and legal assistance without fear of stigmatization or legal repercussions. As at the time of filing this report, authorities are yet to give a comment on the development.
Augustin Coley with that report.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
In Benin, the Court for the Repression of Economic Offences and Terrorism (CREAT) has sentenced Steve Amosu to 2 years in prison and a fine of 2 million CFA francs, approximately 3,000 euros. The court also reclassified the charges of cyberbullying and incitement to rebellion. Christopher Teacher has more details in this report.
With his recently cut short hair, a white t-shirt and a prisoner's vest over it, the cyber activist was taken early from his prison and taken to the courtroom of the Court for the Repression of Economic Offences and Terrorism (CREAT) in Cotonou, Benin. The verdict was delivered quickly. The charges were reclassified to offences of cyberbullying and incitement to rebellion. The charges added spreading false news and insult against a political group. When the verdict was announced, Steve Amosu and his lawyers made no comment. His counsel and other lawyers approached him to discuss the matter, likely regarding the next step, since they have the option of appealing. The first reaction from one of the counsel, Maitre Herman Hienofan, was the CREAT has never spoken the law in political cases. The lawyer stated that he was not surprised and had expected confirmation of the 2-year prison sentence requested by the prosecution. The cyber activist, a harsh critic of the government, is accused of creating the widely followed Brother Hovi account to attack the country's president Patrice Talon, his family, and his government. He denied this throughout the trial, which began in October 2024.
Christopher Teacher with that report. In neighboring Nigeria, some universities have taken action to go beyond research by training the next generation of agricultural innovators. Students are learning digital agriculture and smart farming using real-time data tools, mobile platforms, and agribusiness strategies. The goal is to cultivate a generation capable of producing and profiting sustainably from agriculture. Yesunu Sasetu in Abuja has more details in his report.
Over the last 10 years, Nigerians have watched food prices rise sharply, a situation that worsened in the last 2 years with the removal of fuel subsidy. In response, a coalition of African universities is changing the narrative with its Transforming African Agriculture Universities to meaningfully contribute to Africa's growth and development, TAGDEV 2.0 initiative. Speaking at a recent training for 12 Nigerian universities, TAGDEV 2.0 coordinator, University of Port Harcourt, Professor Ebiseme Etela, showed optimism that initiatives such as this will improve Nigeria's economy.
The number of rice breeders, they are very few. So this project will help to promote that level of producing rice breeders that will help to sustainably improve rice productivity and, of course, the economy of Nigeria.
Participating institutions include University of Port Harcourt, University of Nigeria Nsukka UNN, Federal University of Technology Minna, among others. Experts such as Professor Antonia Achike of UNN are contributing to the design and delivery of the program.
Now we are also working on a digital work on rice production in both Enugu and Ebonyi State. That project, being digital, tells farmers that uses sensors, state-of-the-art sensors, to give farmers information on their field, especially as it concerns nutrients in the rice field and water level.
President of the Agricultural Policy Research Network, Professor Anthony Ojanemi Onoja, says the goal is to cultivate a generation capable of producing and profiting sustainably from agriculture.
One of the things that will be disruptive from this particular project is the target of developing the rice value chain in such a way that we will be able to get high level of productivity from 2 tons per hectare to about 7.5 tons per hectare.
The TAGDEV 2.0 program aims to train over 30,000 youth from 2023 to 2033 in order to strengthen institutions across Africa to tackle climate change, youth unemployment, and food insecurity. For the WADR News, Yechinu Sasitu in Abuja.
Still in Nigeria, at least 33 persons have been feared killed by suspected herdsmen in coordinated attacks on Gwer West and Akpa local government area of Benue State North Central region, leaving many residents missing as the affected communities begin head count on Monday morning. At about 7 p.m. on Sunday, residents of the Twe Antwam in Naka Town, the headquarters of Gwer local government area, came under attack by suspected herdsmen, leaving 17 people dead and others fled for their lives. A community leader, Patrick Mudum, confirmed the casualty figures, adding that many people are still missing as head count is being carried out, with many others displaced in the primary school where police personnel from the town and vigilantes are providing security. Gwer West has 15 political council wards and 14 of those have been affected by herdsmen attacks, leaving Naka Town as the safe place to run for the people. But last night's attack has compromised public safety at the local government headquarters.
I've directed the Ministry of Roads and Highways to prioritize the completion of the Maban-Goso Highway. This is a crucial link for mobility.
You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM in Dakar and online on wadr.org. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Malian army claims to have foiled an infiltration in Timbuktu, but an cyber activist Stephen Moses sentenced to 2 years in prison. Coalition of African Universities unite to empower agricultural innovators against food insecurity. And still ahead in the news, Special Prosecutor uncovers widespread corruption in Ghana Education Service. We do have a guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Don't forget, we are streaming live on wadr.org. Now, Senegalese Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko arrived in the Republic of Guinea this Sunday for a 2-day working and friendship visit. Welcome at Ahmed Sékou Touré International Airport in Conakry by his Guinean counterpart, Amadou Ouriba. The Senegalese head of government was given a warm welcome. Several Guinean officials were also present to extend a warm welcome to the leader. According to the presidency, this visit is part of the strengthening of bilateral relations between Senegal and Guinea. The agenda includes bilateral meetings between the two prime ministers, as well as working sessions between delegations from both countries. Discussions are expected to focus on topics of mutual interest, including economic cooperation, security issues, trade, and regional integration. This Guinean stage marks the continuation of the diplomatic dynamic initiated by Sonko since his accession to the Prime Minister's office, with the ambition of consolidating ties between the brother countries of the West African sub-region. Now let's head to Ghana as the President John Mahama has announced that a new and significantly favorable cocoa producer price will be unveiled in August 2025, offering a major incentive to farmers across the country. Speaking during his thank you tour in the Ahafo region over the weekend, President Mahama assured cocoa farmers of his administration's commitment to revitalizing the cocoa sector, which he said has faced significant setbacks in recent years. The president's remarks comes as part of a broader government strategy to rejuvenate Ghana's agricultural base and empower rural communities.
To prioritize the completion of the Maban-Gosso Highway. This is a crucial link for mobility and trade across the region, in addition to the urban roads in Gosso, Kenyase, and Achirinsua. These town roads will be upgraded to support urban growth and improve transport safety. And as part of the NDC's flagship Big Push infrastructure program, we will deliver on the following roads that we have targeted: Achirinsua, Ntotroso, Atronie, Sunyani Highway, Mem Kasapen and Bediako Camp 16 roads, Kukwom to Sankori Road, Gambia number 1 Tremasu Road, which was initiated in 2016 and later abandoned, and a way to revamp the collapsed cocoa sector. Incentives will be provided to our hard-working farmers to increase cocoa production. We aim to add 200,000 hectares of cocoa to Ghana's output in order to increase income of our farmers. And to cocoa farmers, the Cocoa Board Chief Executive has informed me that in August, they will announce the new cocoa producer price. And I can assure you, the price is going to be a very, very, very good price. So those of you who don't have cocoa farms, go and start looking for land and start planting cocoa.
Meanwhile, President Mahama further announced the forthcoming launch of the Ghana Labour Expert Program aimed at tackling unemployment by offering young Ghanaians the opportunity to work abroad under structured fixed-term arrangements. The goal, he explained, is to place skilled Ghanaian professionals in temporary unemployment roles overseas, thereby easing domestic job pressures.
We will soon launch a Ghana Labour Export Program. There are labour shortages in many countries across the world. We are negotiating with several of those countries to export some of our professionals to work on fixed-term contracts abroad. This will include agricultural workers, construction workers, electricians, welders, mechanics, health workers, chefs and caterers, drivers, machine operators, warehouse supervisors, among others. A contract has already been signed with one country for the export of 2,000 temporary workers. Young qualified people will be selected fairly from all the 16 regions of our country, including Ahafo.
Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama speaking there. Still in Ghana, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, OSP, has unveiled extensive corruption within the Ghana Education Service, GES, highlighting systemic issues in payroll management and recruitment processes. According to the country's Special Prosecutor, Kisi Ajiabeng, an investigation by his office in collaboration with the Controller and Accountant General's Department revealed that numerous non-existent schools were listed as operational, complete with fictitious staff who were regularly validated and paid salaries. He noted that in one case, a non-existent primary school was represented as staffed, with the purported staff being validated monthly and receiving salaries.
We cannot enhance access to education and healthcare for women based on the way we are fighting corruption now. The theories are not bearing out what we are encountering on the ground. The theories do not match the practice. Corrupt actors are becoming very ingenious. If you preface it with this, we can only do this in respect of our assigned task if we reimagine the way we are fighting corruption. If we reconceptualize the fight against corruption and ground it in a functionally specific way and not based on theoretical constructs. Functionally specific way, I mean, in our context now. How do we fight corruption and address the problem in such a way that education of the girl, healthcare to the females would be well founded? That is what I mean. And it is upon this The last week, the Office of the Special Prosecutor made proposals to the Constitution Review Committee for constitutional reforms.
Ghana's Special Prosecutor Kisi Ajiabeng.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest is the Director of Information and Special Duties of the Niger State Emergency Management Agency, Dr. Ibrahim Hosseini. Dr. Hosseini tells WD about his organization's response to the Mokwa deadly floods, an update on the immediate needs of the affected people, and the state government's plan to assist victims residents in rebuilding their lives. According to him, Mokwa is an agrarian community and major transit hub connecting the south and northern parts of Nigeria, and also sits on the meeting point for two major rivers Niger and Kaduna.
On behalf of the state government, as soon as the incident happened, we have our desk officers there and some of our volunteers, and they soon swung into action. Then they were joined by the team of staff from the headquarters there in Mina. We quickly invite or alert our response partners, the NEMA, the Red Cross, the IOM, NGOs, the police and the security outfit that we have, the youth organization in town, and the leaders, including other NGOs. And we saw into action. And as at present, we have from our record 150 people have lost their life. And then we have about over 3,000 population that are directly or indirectly affected. We have over 504 households that were affected. And we have about 5 communities that are affected. We have communities that are even out of Mokwa town.
So over 3,000 people affected, directly or indirectly. What are some of their immediate needs that NASEMA, in collaboration with partners, have so far provided for, and what is still lacking?
The shelter, we have opened a camp for them in Mokwa town. NEMA has also provided them with food and non-food items. The state government has also provided them with food items. Other well-meaning individuals, NGOs, and centers have been bringing food. There is a committee put in place who receive this on behalf of the people. We also have some places who have donated cash because the government has opened an account for the victims. The deputy governor was here on Saturday, including the DG NEMA, to come and take on the spot assessment and coordinate the people on behalf of the government. The federal government has also sent a delegation to the state, led by a Minister of Information and also Minister of Humanitarian. So we are working around the clock to ensure that these people are back on their feet and the normalcy has returned to their lives so that they can go back to their farm.
Despite the fact that this unprecedented flooding or disaster is overwhelming first responders, including NASEMA, there's been enough support from the community in terms of humanitarian response. But we know each time there is flood, you also fear the far-reaching effect, which may be health and, of course, environmentally damaging. What is the response like? I mean, because, of course, you fear water contamination and spread of diseases like cholera.
So it's a flash flood that came through combination every directional rainfall that lasted for so many hours, and from different channels now moves reach a particular joint and begin to move to the state in heavy speed, that is to the town with heavy speed, and cause this havoc. So if you come now, there is no any water, maybe water-logged area that is being logged by water, and so every place is already dry, and if not for the others that are destroyed, you will not see the trace of this. So the time of contamination there is a bit minimal. Though the Ministry of Health is here because we have the major state emergency response team, and it comprises of all this allocation to what happens to take care of those that the children that are affected and are going to school. The Ministry of Health, those that are sick, and those to prevent disaster from the spread of disease or any outbreak. We have the security that are ordering the place and managing, and then provide security to those that are in the camp, and even the environment so you have no looting because some of the people property are outside, so you have no looting. We also have the Ministry of Humanitarian that providing social support to those that are affected because of the traumatic experience they have put, because by the time you have 5, 6, or 3 of your persons lost to this unfortunate incident, you must be traumatic. So people that provide that social support to manage the trauma, we have people from the Ministry of Women Affairs and also the social welfare workers that are here.
Well, talking about all hands on deck, let me ask again, Mr. Piero, at least this community, Mokwa and others around Niger State are mostly agrarian in nature, plus they also have fishermen, and with this flood for these people have washed away their farmlands and livestock. How long will it take the state to help these people rebuild or regain balance?
It will not take the state long because we have different sectors in the state that are handling, not one. So it is not cumbersome. Each one, we have Minister of Agri and we have a Minister of Wildlife and Fisheries that are taking care of that. So each person is working. Minister of Health, Minister of Education, Minister of Environment, the security outfit, you have Minister of Humanitarian too in the state, and so many other organizations. So that it will not take long because the governor has given his support and has provided what is everybody's requirement to be able to manage his own side of the disaster, so that you work collectively and you bring a solution. It's not one person work.
That was our guest director of information and special duties of the Niger State Emergency Management Agency, Dr. Ibrahim Husseini. And in sport news, we do have Christopher Tisho here to tell us the latest in the sport. And I know the Pyramids of Egypt, now the latest Champions League winner. Chris, take it off.
So while the PSG in Europe are celebrating being the champions of Europe,
yes,
UEFA Champions League, we also have a first-time winner of the African Champions League, and that's the Pyramid of Egypt, as you rightly said. And so they actually survived late pressure to beat the Mamelodi Sundowns of South Sudan 2-1 in Cairo on Sunday. Of South Africa rather, 2-1 in Cairo on Sunday to win the CAF Champions League for the very first time. So it's like PSG winning it for the first time, and these guys also winning it for the first time. So competing in the Premier League, in the Premier African competition for the only second time, the Pyramid triumphed 3-2 on aggregate after the first leg was in a 1-1 draw in Pretoria last weekend. And then goals by Fetsen Mayeli scored in the 22nd or 23rd minute, and then Ahmed Sam on the 56th minute gave the Egyptian giant the win on that particular encounter. But away from football, let me bring you some development in the world of volleyball, as well as the AS Douanes made a lasting impression by winning the men's and women's title at the African Championship Club Zone 3 recently in Ouagadougou. So during this particular encounter in Burkinabe 2025 edition of the Zone 3 Championship Club, the AS Douanes men and women's team, each side won the very first place, achieving this particular unprecedented feat on the African continent. But interestingly, right after PSG's win on Saturday, there's been some violence happening in France, and that is obviously not a very pleasant news to really celebrate the whole win and that whole euphoria. So 2 people actually died, and then hundreds were arrested, and cars set ablaze in France overnight as football fans celebrated in Paris Saint-Germain stunning Championship League final victory, the Interior Ministry actually said on Sunday. So that's the sad news coming in from France as well.
And we all watched the PSG match, and for us it was more or less like a training session. And goals were just pouring in.
How Inter Milan could just set aside and then make, like, they played with no agency.
Yes.
Looking at how they played against Barcelona, and then they were all on
I think
top.
something was wrong.
Exactly.
I think something was wrong. You can't get to that point of the competition
and then play like a group stage.
Yes. Anyway, thank you, Chris.
But again, I would also want to congratulate Nigeria for also winning the Unity Cup on Saturday.
I mean, we needed that win. We needed that win because the Ghanaian brothers and sisters would have laughed at us.
But it was an African win as well, because Ghana also won Trinidad and Tobago 4-0.
Yes, congrats to you guys.
Out the Jamaican boys also.
Yeah, but we picked the trophy. Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much.
Friends.
And that's sport news. Well, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Umu Daniugo for the technical support. Do connect with us on all of our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, at WADR News, and Facebook, West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is our flagship gender health program, Well Buddy. I am Imo Edit. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, New Me FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Nibe County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio